So thanks for taking part in the Wrexham.com general election 2019 Q&A video.
No problem.
To dive straight in, are you able to tell us a little bit about yourself, any political history, and why you have the political leanings that you do?
I'm Chris Allen, I'm 52, I'm from Trevor, Llangollen. I'm married with 2 children. I'm originally from Nuneaton in Warwickshire. I moved to Clwyd South 20 years ago now. My political leanings have always been leftwards. While I was living in England, I was varied between voting Labour and Green, more leaning towards Green and European because it's more closely aligned pan-Europe with their policies. Since moving to Wales, turned more and more towards Plaid Cymru because they married traditional Labour policies with Green policies. I eventually joined Plaid in 2015 and I stood for them in the 2017 general election.
The locality of candidates is one debate that we've spotted. Do you think it is important that people are represented by those who live and work in their communities?
It's important to an awful lot of people, far more than you'd expect, but really it's a case of who's the best person for the job. You have a better idea of what's happening on the ground if you live locally, but it's not that important to me.
If you were representing Clwyd South at Prime Minister's Questions today, what question would you ask the Prime Minister and what would you kind of hope to uncover with it?
Today, what are you going to do for Wales? When are you going to mention Wales? That's basically it, you know.
This is going to be the third election in 4 years. I think it's fair to say people are fed up with politics, party politics, and feel all politicians are the same, etc., etc. What would be different about you?
Well, I'm not a professional politician. I'm just an ordinary working fella. I go from here, I go to my job, I work a full shift, go home, I sit down, I go through my stuff again, and then tomorrow I go out, I go campaigning, and then I go to my job, go out, do the same again. I'm just an ordinary person and I want change, same as everybody else wants change.
You've tweeted out that you'd make the climate crisis a deal breaker on how you'd vote. Can you explain how that would work in practice, and wouldn't that mean that you potentially vote against good policies?
I think we've got to take a long-term view. Then I am not going to deny that there are problems with climate. I've said previously I voted Green. Years ago, this is 30 years ago. I've always had that interest. I'm not going to deny that there's a problem, and it's an accelerating problem. I don't see any way of getting around it unless we start to act now.
And now we're not talking about party manifesto items, as hopefully that gets taken care of by them.
Yep.
But as an MP, you might get the chance to bring in a new law via a private member's bill. If you got that opportunity, what law would you look to bring in?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've not considered that one at all.
You've touched on it before, but do you think you've got any relevant experience for the job of MP?
I want to be more in touch with the actual people on the ground. That's really what I want to do. I actually want to represent the people of Clwyd South. I don't want to be a party politician. I have disagreements with other people in the party, and we just work them through. I'd rather work things through than just say, right, there's a line. You know, we're going to find our lines are there, and then we'll just bring the lines together. I just want to work things through.
Obviously, you mentioned Clwyd South, and we'll touch on Brexit later. What would you say, apart from Brexit, is the top issue for Clwyd South in the forthcoming parliamentary term, and how would you like to see your desired outcome achieved?
Well, a lot of the things that people are talking about are things like the NHS, but that's already a devolved issue in Wales, so it's not really relevant to the general election, but most people are generally talking about Brexit. And Sorry, I've lost my train of thought now.
No, that's fine. Moving on, there's been a lot of talk in the last 3 years since the referendum about Scotland, Northern Ireland and England in their own right.
Yeah.
What would you do to give Wales a stronger voice?
I think the only way of giving Wales a stronger voice at a general election is just to vote in a block of Plaid MPs, because the other parties have to go to London for their orders. It's as easy as that. we make our own decisions in Wales, and we do what's best for Wales.
Again, aside from Brexit, as I said, we'll touch on that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What non-Brexit policy commitment are you most proud of for standing with?
Standing with? I think that getting back to the green thing, our policy commitment towards the green jobs revolution and renewables, major investment in renewables, infrastructure and digital tech, I think that's a real decent thing for the future going forward.
A coalition is a possible outcome, and obviously all candidates will say that they're focusing on the outright win.
Absolutely.
But putting that aside, to get a direct answer on it, what would be your ideal coalition partners?
I don't really care. I don't really care. If you've got to work with somebody, you've got to work with somebody. It's you can always find common ground. That's the thing. You always try and find common ground and work with it from there.
Speaking on the common ground, there's the Unite to Remain, an electoral pact with three parties, Lib Dems, Greens, Plaid, which is 60 constituencies and 11 in Wales. Isn't that a backroom deal, and isn't that really undemocratic?
I'm going to be completely honest. I did struggle with the notion of it to start with. I understand why they've done it, but I also understand that there's people who are going to be, the electorate, who are going to be unhappy that they haven't got the party to vote for that they'd want to vote for, you know.
Carrying on from that, is that there's obviously no pact in Wrexham, Clwyd South, etc., because of the parties that are standing. Doesn't that signal that those three parties essentially feel they don't really have a chance, as there's no interest in doing deals and that kind of thing? The constituencies just been not written off?
I don't really think it matters. I think at an election you should vote for what you believe in and vote for what's closer to your values. You know, if you're going to, it's really the system that's broken. The system is geared up towards a block of people sitting there and a block of people sitting there shouting at each other. The SNP, if they return 45, 50 MPs this time, that's where the balance of power is going to be. Not with the party there or the party there. It's going to be with that. The fact that the system doesn't accommodate a third party or a third way of doing things, there's the problem.
Moving on to the Brexity bits.
Okey-dokey.
Plaid are obviously keen on Welsh independence, but want to remain part of the EU. Is that position true independence for Wales, or is the policy just independence from Westminster?
As a start, independence from Westminster would be great for us. In the long term, independence as a sovereign state is the goal.
And looking back at the referendum, how did you vote in the referendum?
Remain.
And have you changed your position since?
No.
Did you think that the UK should remain with changes to the EU, or, well, I was going to ask if leave with a deal, etc., but if you were a Remainer, which
Remain
was it?
Remain. The EU is always going to. The EU is always going to need to be slightly tweaked with. It's always going to need that. Like everything, it's always going to need slightly tweaking. There are things that I disagree with the EU on. I disagree with their thinking that markets can solve everything, where social policy and markets working together is obviously the best way of doing things. I disagree with the way that they treated Greece, and I disagree with their opinion of Catalonia. You know, their people have said they want independence. The EU is standing with Spain. That's, I disagree with the EU on a whole different set of things to the set of things that Brexiters disagree with them on.
Do you think there's any benefits of Brexit for Clwyd South?
No.
Very straightforward answer.
No.
Fair enough.
I know, I've spoken to a farmer who's really worried about losing his farm, and he voted to leave.
What would you say to voters like that?
There's not a lot you can say, is there? We just have to keep going and see where it goes, and then when it does happen, then We have to see what happens. Okay, if I'm completely wrong and Brexit turns out to be this fantastic thing, then great, yeah, I'm prepared to stand there and say, yeah, do you know what, I was wrong. Well done you.
Plaid are the Party of Wales, but Wales voted to leave. Specifically Clwyd South also voted to leave.
Yes, 60-40ish.
Yeah. And that decision has not been carried out.
No.
Surely it's undemocratic to look to remain via another referendum without honouring that vote.
Well, in the 3 years since, and nothing's really happened, and the Leave campaign went around with statements along the sides of buses that were admitted directly afterwards by Nigel Farage that it wasn't true. I don't see how that fixation with the result hasn't been diluted.
How realistic do you think Welsh independence is? Do you think there's an actual appetite locally for it?
I think it's growing. I went to Cardiff, Carnarvon, Merthyr, and there are people there from all over Wales. It's not just Welsh speakers, it's people like me who've come in from England. There's a lot of Polish community in there, there's a lot of Portuguese community in there. And it's a whole melting pot of people who can see that the system as it is does not work for Wales.
The Labour Party are also sort of offering a second referendum. Is a vote for Plaid not a wasted vote then?
You should always vote for what you believe in.
Have you got anything else to add for potential voters watching this?
I'll just nip to my script, okay, and stare straight down the barrel of the camera. If you want change, if you want to make a difference, if you want politics that puts Wales first, if you want a party that doesn't take its orders from London, then make your choice for Wales. Vote for the voice for Wales. Plaid Cymru, the Party of Wales.
Thanks very much for your time, and hopefully see you at the debate in early December as well.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I've got to rejig my work to get there, but hopefully we will.
Thank you.
Very nice to speak to you. Thank you.